So we've had 45 leads in 1 month. It's actually probably been more the last 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm Minhaz Chowdhury. I own Pump and Click Physiotherapy. I've been running it on my own now for about 6 years, since 2019, uh, and only started trying to do paid marketing as of last year. Went through a few different agencies, probably 3 or 4 different agencies. But after a while, I just realized I needed to do it myself. So I joined the Where You program a month ago. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Amazing. And tell me a little bit about the state of your ad account prior to joining the Where You program.
So prior to joining Where You, I was working with one agency last year, and we'd been working for about 6 months. Now, initially, they actually weren't too bad. We were getting some results coming through. Um, And then it was a sort of solo agency business. So as they started to get busier, I could tell that the attention to my account was sort of dropping and my performance in the ads were dropping. Um, and it sort of fell off an absolute cliff at the start of the year. So we went from maybe generating 20 odd leads a month, and they weren't, the most qualified, they weren't the best leads, to literally generating one lead per month for January, February, and March.
Mm,
So it just absolutely fell off a cliff. And then I also engaged with, so we have a strength and conditioning part of the business as well.
mm.
So we engaged with another agency whose name I won't mention, but they were a big agency in this sort of space. And similarly, in the first 3 months, they generated 2 leads for the whole 3 months,
Oh,
which was
wow.
quite shocking because I was like, surely at the very basic level, an agency should provide more. Um, and obviously with retainer fees, setup costs, all of that sort of stuff, I just couldn't justify that cost anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and so last year I did reach out to Where You, but it was a bit out of my budget. So once we started doing a bit better this year, I decided I'm just going to jump on the Where You program, bite the bullet. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that actually because what we typically see is a disconnect in agency performance and being a business owner. One of the biggest
Yeah.
disconnects is they don't know the business, right? They're
Mm.
on the ground, they don't know the service offering as well as the
Yeah.
business owner or the employees. They actually aren't with clients, which is like a massive disconnect for messaging, right? And also they will push out more generic creative, right? Because they don't
Yeah.
know the offer. So that's
Yeah.
like one of the biggest disconnects we do see in like that typical model. So
Yeah.
that relays into a lack of result. Absolutely. All right. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about this. You reached out last year for the Way You program. You ended
Yeah.
up making the move. What ended up getting you over the line in the end?
I think I always had trust in the Way You business. Like just from all the ads that I used to see of Brandon,
Mm,
every single one I think I just resonated with.
mm,
Particularly with my algorithm, I was getting the one targeting allied health. I actually saw, and I actually reached out to them as well. A couple of the physios that had testimonials.
mm.
So one of the guys, I forget his name, but he runs Top End Health. He does a lot of the knee
Yeah.
injuries. um, I was actually speaking to him on the weekend and just seeing those. So I always had trust in the Where You business and process. I never doubted it. Um, for me last year, the only reason I couldn't do it was more budgetary.
Mm.
Also, because just from a personal perspective, wife was on mat leave, so income and everything was just solely on me.
Yeah.
This year, she's sort of gone back to work, so it's just given me a bit more cash flow to work with.
Mm.
So bit the bullet. So did the Melbourne workshop in May. Um, and yeah, it was like, and I'm not a tech savvy person at all. Like, really, really bad with tech for somebody of my age and gen. Like, I'm the guy, like in WhatsApp group chats, my nickname is Tech Bra because that's how bad I am with tech. Um, so it was always one of those things that I knew I had to do, but I was like, let me just delegate it. Let me find someone who can do it for me because it was just always overwhelming. But after the sort of performances of the last two agencies, I was like, nah, you know what? I need to learn this. Had a couple of business owner friends as well. They're like, they run their own ads. Like, no, you just got to do it yourself. Like
Mm.
agencies don't know your customer, they don't know your business, they're not going to check it every day. Um, and they get a lot of the Where You ads as well. They're like, I think this is the perfect thing for you if you're willing to invest.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And tell me about it. So you invested in the program and what have your results been to date?
So we've had 45 leads in 1 month.
Yeah, wow.
Uh,
Wow.
and I would say even more condensed, it's actually probably been more the last 2 to 3 weeks
Mm,
because in the first week when we did run ads, because I'm a health page, I couldn't, the conversion tracking wasn't working.
mm.
So
Oh, yeah, you did
Ben,
custom conversion. Yeah.
yeah. So Ben did a custom conversion thing. So I'd really say it's actually been more in the last 3 weeks than a month. And we've generated 45 leads.
Wow.
We've
So it's saying like 45 leads in, let's say, 3 weeks
in three
compared
weeks, yeah.
to 3 leads in 3 months.
Correct. Yeah.
That's crazy. That is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And even my wife was saying, because like, now I'm starting to think about the next steps of the business. Like, I've never been a salesperson. So jumping on sales calls and stuff, I'm like, oh, I need to get better at that. And she's like, look, at least you're generating 45 leads when you weren't generating anything before. Like,
Yeah,
we can
you've
just
got
take it
more room
step
to
by
mess
step.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So of the 45, we've now closed 8 sales.
Mm. Wow.
Um, and it is like from yes, we're a physio, but we're a bit like high ticket program. We do 6 session packages and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, we've probably generated just over 2K in terms of cash received.
Mm.
But there are a few like payment plans and stuff like that. So no, it's been going really well.
And what's your lifetime value look like for a client?
Generally, lifetime value is almost like 3K per year.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a small investment for the longevity of that type of
Exactly.
client. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then you'll get those like maybe 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 that end up spending like 6 to 7K per year.
yeah.
So yeah, there's really good scope with that.
And you touched on you're now like thinking about the next steps for your business.
Yeah.
So what has this lead flow meant for your business professionally and where are you wanting to go from here?
Yeah. So, in the last maybe 2, 3 weeks when we've signed on 8 clients, in addition to some organic clients as well, um, we're a pretty small operation. So it's just me and one other physio.
Mm,
And we're pretty much fully booked for the entire week. Uh, so first thing, sorry, so let me take a step back. The first thing that I thought about was, okay, we're getting all these leads in. I don't really have a sales system set up.
mm,
It's more I'll just contact them whenever I can or whenever they book in. So having a better system, number one, and then number two, upskilling or just training up, being a bit better on the phone
mm.
and then potentially hiring someone for that. So that would be my first goal. And then the next step from that is if we're now converting, let's say if we get 45 a month, for example, if we can convert 15, it will lead to us being overbooked. So we might need to hire someone, start servicing the leads that are coming in.
And definitely like an opportunity for you if you know you're wanting to just become the business owner and step back a little bit off
Correct.
the tools and hire someone and train someone to fill those shoes so you can actually just worry about operations. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
common thing we see is like a lot of business owners wearing 8 different hats.
yeah,
It is exciting to be able to have lead flow, to be able to put someone and give them consistency without putting the business out so you can
yeah,
actually grow and give order
yeah.
to the business, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And so my business we're in Melbourne, so it's in a suburb called Airport West.
Yeah.
But I live out in the southeast, and I've just set my garage up as a little studio. I work there once a week.
Mm,
Um, but it's now made me realize like now we've got a couple of clients that see me there as well.
mm.
And so now it's making me think, okay, and I've always wanted to open up a second location in the southeast, but I think that's becoming a bit more attainable in the next year or two.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, now that's like a really good problem to have. And I think having with my business, our service was always really good. Our LTV was always really good. Retention was always really good. It was just lead flow coming in.
Mm.
So I feel like if we can, that was always our bottleneck. If we can solve that problem, which we have sort of done in this first month already, it's just going to give us a lot more predictability to be able to plan for employees or a second location and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does this mean for you personally?
Personally, it's been awesome. Obviously, like far more cash flow. I got kids as well, so future planning and things like that. We've got a couple of mortgages, so helping service that. Um, just gives me a bit more. I think the biggest thing that I've realized is, we always talk about coming from a place of scarcity versus abundance.
Mm,
So month to month, if I'm always like, crap, what's my revenue going to be? Where am I going to sort of be this month? You start making decisions from a place of scarcity.
mm,
And I think already in this last month, I just naturally saw a bit of a mental shift
mm,
where it wasn't coming from a place of scarcity. It was more about growth, more about opportunity and stuff like that.
mm.
Um, and yeah, just mentally just makes you feel a lot better.
Yeah, well, yeah. It just allows you to kind of like be where your feet are, hey, and just like takes that extra burden off, particularly at the moment. Like it's not an easy time to live. Everything is
Correct. Yeah,
costing
yeah.
double, particularly with mortgages and things like that too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I guess it just kind of gives you that security net to be like, all right, we can do this and we can still grow even though costs are going up. Because
yeah.
ultimately, you probably need to grow to make more money, you know?
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and you don't want to feel like your hands tied or you're being very, risk adverse or whatever it may be
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of, you've got, family and businesses and
yeah,
employees. So
yeah.
yeah, that's really, really exciting. And
Yeah,
what,
so just far less stress, I'd say, in this
yeah,
first month. Obviously, I'm not expecting to be killing it every month, but I know I should be. But yeah, it's been a good first month.
yeah, good, good. And what have you found most valuable?
Definitely the advisory calls.
Mm.
Um, Again, for somebody who's just not tech savvy at all, as I say that, I'm just going to quickly move positions because my laptop is running out of battery. Um, the work, the workshop was awesome in giving me a little bit more understanding of how to set things up.
Mm.
So the technical side of things, obviously that was invaluable. Um, but the tech advisory calls for somebody like me who really depends on someone, holding my hand through the process, they've been unreal. And just knowing that I can jump on a call on any given day and someone, qualified and specialized is there to literally hold my hand through it. Um, I think that's the biggest thing. And I think with previous agencies, if I wanted that sort of help, it was just hard to come by. Like,
Mm.
I couldn't give them a call, or if I had to set up a meeting, it would be like 2 days from now, 3 days from now, whatever it is. Whereas with this, it's just every day that they're, that sort of gives you a lot of comfort as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone was sitting on the fence about joining, what would you be telling them?
Uh, and again, I was in that position as well, where I was sitting on the fence more from a financial perspective, because it
Mm.
definitely is a big investment. Um, but I would say it's one of those things that when you do it properly, and I mean mentally you're in it, the results will definitely come. I think there's no doubting that the results you get from this are going to be better than what you get from an agency.
Yeah,
So that's the
absolutely.
first and foremost. Like you're absolutely going to get better results than what you do from an agency. And the way I sort of not justify, but the way I sometimes think about it is what I pay where you is basically what I was paying a retainer for an agency anyway from a month to month basis. So I'm not really spending more than I was before. If anything, I'm allowed to spend a little bit more on ads now.
Mm.
Um, and so therefore, like the cost is the same. If you especially if you're with an agency as well, the cost is pretty much the same. You're going to get much better results. It's completely within your control how you're performing. Um, and as Brandon always says, like no one cares about your clients or knows about your business as well as you do. And that was the biggest thing I realized when I started doing the marketing, like little tweaks, little changes that I can make because I know the customer better.